In today's video, I will explain everything about the crew rest compartment, so please make sure your sound is on while you are enjoying this video. Let's start. A crew rest compartment is a section of an airplane that is dedicated for sleeping by crew members, usually located above or below the passenger compartment. These crew rest compartments are normally segregated with separate compartments for the flight crew and the cabin crew. On long-haul flights, the crew members sleeping in these crew rest compartments, and they do that during their off-duty periods. The aviation regulations have provisions requiring crew rest areas to be provided in order to operate a long flight by using multiple crew shifts. The execution of these crew rest areas depends on the type of the aircraft and the airline. The crew rest compartments are necessary for long-haul flights with extremely long flying time, for example, 18 hours flight from Singapore to New York route or a 17.5-hour flight from Doha to Auckland, as these flights are flown by two crews. In order to guarantee a sufficient recovery of the crew rest compartments are usually more stringent in terms of sound isolation than the normal aircraft cabin. The cockpit and the cabin crew, they have separate compartments as separate pilot rest compartment and crew rest compartments. The onboard experience on most long-haul flights follows a similar routine. After settling and after taking off, the cabin crew would start the service. Once that first service is completed, the overhead lights will be typically dimmed. Then the passengers will either doze off or catch up on some work or watch a movie. Perhaps then, while cruising at 35,000 feet, with most of the passengers sleeping, the cabin crew can and in fact must take a break in this crew rest compartment. And on these long flights, the crew actually works in shift. Only a portion of cabin crew are needed at one time. What I mean when I say this, usually after takeoff, there will be one main service where all the crew will be working, and then before landing will be also a main service where again all the crew are working, and in between with those, I wouldn't say half services, but yet in those services which are differing from the main service, the half part of the cabin crew is sufficient to finish these services. As mentioned, this is an aviation regulation, and the aim of this regulation is that the crew will be well rested in order to deliver proper service or assist during an emergency. The same goes for the cockpit. Only two pilots are required to be on duty at a single time. The other two will be resting until their turn to be in the controls comes. Now, the airline designers are forced to cram these cabin crew rest areas into confined spaces to leave more room for the revenue-generating passengers. The crew rest compartments vary in design, as mentioned, from an airplane to an airplane, and most of the Boeing 777 or 787 airliners will have secret stairway that leads to a tiny set of windowless bedrooms for the cabin crew, which will be including bedrooms that very few people on board would know that they exist. Passengers are restricted from accessing these crew rest compartments by the regulations. Additionally, their entrance is secured by locks and requires a code for access. The crew rest compartments cannot be used during takeoff, taxi, or landing maneuvers. Which cabin crew sleeps and how long the rest will be, this is regulated by the crew rest plan, and usually the purser or the cabin service director is the one who's going to be delegating this. For the pilots, since there are usually two sets of the pilots per set, as mentioned, they will decide among themselves, also following pilot in flight rest plan. So this is all about the crew rest compartment, and I do hope that you also liked the videos that I have found. So you will see an illustration of how different they can look from an airplane to an airplane. We saw a 777 aircraft. Right now we're seeing crew rest compartment on a 777 aircraft, and we also saw Airbus 350 aircraft. I remember as it was yesterday when I used to sleep on a long-haul flight in the very same bunks. These are the Boeing 777 bunks that you're looking. I would fall asleep immediately, especially if there is a turbulence, and I will really need to set up my alarm very loud to wake me up, as indeed I was getting a very good sleep in the bunk. Most of the crew enjoyed sleeping in the bunk, of course not everyone. Now, the most interesting part of this video. Should we be filming videos which are revealing the bunks where the cabin crew sleeps during long-haul flights? Should we be filming videos of the safety procedures, security and safety procedures that the cabin crew perform on board the aircraft? I will share in this video my opinion on that, and if you're interested, do stay until the last minute, as I'm promising you an unforgettable session as usual. My name is Julia George. I used to fly for Qatar Airways for 10 years, where I have resigned from my last work position as a cabin service director. I'm currently studying Aviation Management Master Program at Wildau Institute of Applied Science in Berlin, and in the meantime I'm also working as a SnoreLab Assistant at Helios Kliniken Schwerin. Let's start. Since I showed up my presence on social media, I was not aware of this fact, to be very honest, that ex-cabin crew pilots as well are doing videos which are having thousands, hundreds of thousands of viewers, in which they are revealing where the cabin crew sleeps on board the aircraft, in which conditions it is allowed to sleep in those bunks, on which flights. Even in some of the videos, I have observed that they are showing how to enter in those bunks. And in today's video, I will share my point of view on that. I do completely understand that once we open a YouTube channel, we all want to have a presence, social media presence, in terms of having viewers and working for you, the viewers watching this video. And I do also possess a lot of videos in the bunk, a lot of pictures which I have been taking with the crew, that I have had a marvelous and amazing time. Nevertheless, I will never even in my wildest dream do that. And there is a simple reason why I'm not going to do it. I will share an example that has happened on board a flight in which I'm familiarized with that. It happened on board Qatar Airways flight. And on that flight, there was a passenger who knew exactly how to enter in the bunk area where the cabin crew are sleeping. It was a flight where a designated rest was not required. For the crew, the passenger knew how to enter. And in economy cabin, we all know there are seats. They cannot make the seat as bad as in business class. And this passenger, he was because he was very well informed, thanks to the amazing cabin crew there giving all the information, and I would say trying to be famous on YouTube, because I would also share my point of view after filming this video. What do we get? And one of the things that we get is exactly this one. He went upstairs and he slept in the bunk. The good circumstance over here was that passenger was not traveling alone. And his partner traveling with him asked for the passenger, and after a long search for the passenger on board the aircraft, the search starts from checking the entire economy cabin, the toilets, then you check in the business class, you check the toilets, and this time you inform the captain as well, and then you also obviously are checking the bunks where the crew are sleeping, and you're finding this passenger sleeping in the bunk. On that flight, for sure, all the cabin crew will be in trouble or have been in trouble. I'm not sure, I can't discuss this. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen who are posting these videos and these pictures, I would agree that the picture is totally fine, because the picture is something that is available. And even though at some point I would also agree that you have a video. But what I would not agree on is to view a video in which you are sharing how to enter the bunk with loud and clear exposing the code. I'm not agreeing that we give ideas to people who are not part of the aviation, and perhaps they are aviation enthusiasts, to do certain things on a flight which they're not supposed to do. People are creative. Do not forget a couple of incidents that has happened in which the passengers have opened the exit window, the overhead overwing exit actually, in which they thought that they can just get a fresh air and stuff like that. Nevertheless, the bunks that we are showing in the internet, trying to get viewers, and we are getting viewers. We're becoming very popular when we share where the crew sleeps, because that is so amazing. So that is a desire, what everyone wants to know. You're gonna get 100, 200, 1 million viewers. But that's not going to secure you a job at Airbus, at Boeing, at renowned company, basically, because you will perhaps earn also some money, but yet on your CV, I do not see that you will get any skill beside the social media skills, perhaps, that you're going to be enhancing. Nevertheless, do not forget that you wore a uniform, irrespective for which airline that is, and that one day on that flight, or on a flight that is out there happening every day, will be you, will be your loved ones. And also another important thing which I want you to always have in mind when you are revealing safety and security things that we do on board the aircraft is not every person on earth has good intention towards aviation, towards the airlines. I sincerely hope that you will have in mind your cabin safety and security training that you had, in which we spoke about all the incidents that have happened, because the terrorism out there is a serious threat that exists, is not going away as of now. We're all witnessing of all the events that are happening. And another thing which I also want to remind you is that the safety and security trainings within all the airlines are something that really pays attention to these things. In fact, as I'm speaking to you right now, I do believe that in future there will be slightly different policies when it comes to revealing this kind of things, which are, I wouldn't say exclusivity for the airlines, I would rather say safety and security issues. Last but not the least, another thing, if you are a cabin crew or an ex-cabin crew, and if you want to secure a job in the aviation industry, the human resources teams of the airlines are considering something called background checks. So let's say you were an ex-cabin crew, you flew for, I don't know, Emirates Airlines, and you made all those videos in which you showed how the door is open, how you arm and disarm the door. You have showed how the bunk looks like, you went inside, how you're coming inside, what's the code and everything. And all of a sudden, you got an amazing opportunity to, let's say, go and work for Ryanair. Unfortunately, when somebody from the human resources teams of Ryanair would do the background check in terms of your social media presence and, how you basically expose yourself out there, and believe me, the world is indeed a small place, then definitely you're not gonna get the job. And this is not an information that I'm sharing with you to scare you. This is just the reality out there. I've mentioned about arming and disarming procedures. One personal example of mine that has happened on my flight was when a passenger tried to open the door in flight. And a lot of things and a lot of possible scenarios can happen in which people that are not part of the aviation industry and at a point in time are passengers can become creative. Nevertheless, we don't want to give those ideas, and I do believe that as mature individuals, before we shoot and film safety and security related topics that we have once upon a time been trained and have learned, I think that we have to consider the aspect of or the fact that not every human being on earth has the best intention like you and me, and there are a lot of people who want to use aviation, who want to use the airlines for certain goals in which they would harm an innocent people. Do have in mind all of these things. Thank you very much for watching this video, and before you leave, hit the subscribe button with the notification button on, and I'm gonna be seeing you very soon. Bye bye and have a nice day.